Online game, plus, WoW Worldview, plus, Golden Finger, plus, Virtual Reality, plus, Sisters Slaying, plus, World gradually merging. Wang Dao travels through the deep blue world, activates the data panel, and also draws a modified version of the flame explosion skill. I thought it was extraordinary, but I found out that only by entering the second world of humanity. The apocalypse world. Can it be effective? But soon, he realized that the fact was not just that. The magic he gained in the game world can actually enhance his body through the data panel, and his enhanced body attributes will be fully mapped into the game. So, a hexagonal mage player with warrior power and thief agility appeared in the game. In reality, he is a super boxer who is invincible with his fists and feet, and in the game, he is a terrifying method of pushing invincible horizontally. As the game progressed, Wang Dao gradually discovered the truth behind this virtual reality game. When that day arrived, he, who had already refined his star soul and achieved the highest level, gently extended a finger. Subsequently, the flames burst into the sky, sweeping through everything and emptying the world. Chapter 1. The End of 4 Seasons Rice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang. Bang. This is a large private estate. In the luxurious private gym, a young man wearing only boxing shorts is constantly hitting the specially designed sandbag in front of him. The man's face was cold and stern, with a fierce aura flashing through his eyes, and his streamlined muscles seemed to contain endless power. Ha! With a soft drink, the man broke the sandbag with one elbow, and the filling inside spilled all over the ground. Shaking his head in disappointment, the man touched his phone and made a phone call. 2 hours later, a young woman walked out of the estate with mysterious steps. The woman has a graceful figure, with curves that are attractive. Her beautiful curly hair hangs down to her waist, and her slender waist and plump buttocks are captivating as she walks. However, at this moment, the woman seemed to be slightly uncomfortable. The originally enchanting mysterious step had some deviation, and the walking posture was slightly strange. Having learned both civil and martial arts, and selling to the imperial family, I have used all my skills this time, almost gathering 3 flowers at the top. Being able to exchange for this key is also considered a complete achievement. The woman weighed the key to the first grade of Haiching in her hand, wiped the corner of her mouth, and showed a satisfied smile. On the 9-story platform inside the estate, the man hugged his chest with both hands and looked down from a bird's eye view. Watching the woman get into a treasure donkey mini and drive away, she then turns around and walks into the interior. Arriving at a luxurious restaurant, a feast of top-notch ingredients has been prepared. The man, dressed in a loose robe, sat down casually and began to indulge in food. After all, it consumes a lot of energy and needs to be replenished. After eating, the man went to another hall where someone had already been waiting. "Boss, this is the group's financial report for this month, and there are still some documents that need your signature." A well-dressed and serious-looking old man handed over a pile of documents. Taking the documents with ease, the man quickly flipped through them and then took a pen to sign his name on several of them. After finishing these, the man handed the documents to the old man and said, "There's no problem with the financial report. I have a rough idea of how much profit the group makes every month. I have signed all the acquisition plans that I agreed to, and rejected the others. Let those people think carefully again." The old man respectfully took the document, nodded and said yes, then withdrew. The man stood up and stretched lazily, finishing the day's work. Since the group got on track and had a dedicated management team to help, men's daily lives have become so simple and unadorned. Taking the elevator to the outdoor swimming pool on the top floor, the man sank his robust body into the water and began to close his eyes to rest. The man's name is Wang Dao and he grew up in an orphanage. The dean said that he was found abandoned next to a rice field, and then a kind-hearted person took him to an orphanage in the city. Therefore, the man's original name was Wang Dao, which had a somewhat pastoral atmosphere. Later, due to demolition disputes, the orphanage was completely burned down by someone. The man survived and wandered on the streets. He begged in the bustling city, grabbed food with wild dogs, and was bullied and beaten by thugs, so he stubbornly survived. Accidentally, a man saved an old beggar from being hit by a car, and the gears of fate began to turn. When the old beggar left, he took out an ancient book and handed it to him, saying it was a treasure passed down from his ancestors. Because he had never read a book and had no family, he handed it over to Wang Dao, who saved his life. Wang Dao, who received compulsory education in an orphanage, can probably guess what is recorded in ancient books. After conducting some secret research, he discovered that there were many lost prescriptions recorded on it. Wang Dao knows that his opportunity has come, because every prescription above will cause a global shock. And these years of hard work have taught Wang Dao how to make use of this ancient book. So starting from the most inconspicuous scar removal, Wang Dao slowly began to accumulate capital. As their strength gradually grew stronger, one after another amazing elixirs emerged. When the major pharmaceutical conglomerates in Yan country suddenly realized it, a behemoth was already proud in the world. Dao San Sheng Pharmaceutical Group has begun to expand globally, with an increasingly large scale. Renamed Wang Dao, he became a legendary figure in the Flame country, which can be said to be wealthy enough to rival the country. After achieving success and fame, Wang Dao used the power of wealth to retaliate against all those who had bullied him in the past. Even the mastermind behind the burning of an orphanage was caught by him and sent to eat peanuts. The king who had completed everything felt a moment of relief, but with it came an endless sense of emptiness. Sometimes he feels inexplicably irritable and needs to vent in order to calm down. The personal doctor said it is related to his growth process, and perhaps practicing some health boxing techniques would be helpful. For this, Wang Dao paid a huge price by visiting famous teachers and practicing various traditional Chinese martial arts techniques. I don't know if it's due to innate talent, but Wang Dao cultivates various martial arts very quickly, just by analogy. Both Tai Chi and Bagua, as well as the 5 birds of form and meaning, can be learned at once. The several teachers who taught Wang Dao all believed that in ancient times, he would definitely become a martial arts champion. After practicing various martial arts, Wang Dao's irritability symptoms were alleviated, but occasional attacks still made him very uncomfortable. So besides boxing, he also found 2 other ways to relieve it. There are already many canaries that have been made recently and are raised by the king in the 1st grade of Haicheng. They get the life they want, and at the same time, like ancient concubines, they look forward to the occasional favor of the royal family. In addition, there is a more stimulating way to vent emotions, making the king enjoy it tirelessly. Thinking of this, Wang Dao in the swimming pool suddenly opened his eyes, put on a bathrobe, and headed to a nearby room. This is a luxurious esports room with a specially designed computer cabin in the middle. Not bad, this is another way for the king to vent, playing online games. After all, the real world is a rule of law society, far less free than the gaming world. Sitting in the computer cabin, Wang Dao sank deeply into the leather cushion and then turned on the computer. With the launch of a large-scale multiplayer online role-playing game, Wang Dao's game characters have been launched. For Seasons Rice, this small killer who has been wandering the night forest in Rose Valley for years, appears. This nickname, full of humor, was also created to commemorate the years when he was still called Wang Daosher. No one could have imagined that this mage character, who enjoys harvesting small accounts and is known as the server tumor, would be the masterpiece of the richest man in Yan country. Under the magic of money, perhaps his understanding of games is average, but his equipment is absolutely luxurious. Plus, it only targets small players, so it's invincible to this day. 10 minutes later, the hunting camp in Rose Valley was not far away. Crushing damage .9999. As a huge fireball flew past, a little hunter carrying the burial flower Cold Shao screamed and fell to the ground 25 yards away. Wang Dao smiled at the corners of his mouth and manipulated the game character. Suddenly, the undead mage Shurji, who was hiding behind a tree, appeared and stumbled to the small corpse to dance. A series of asterisks appeared on the hunter's body, telling the warm greetings of this unlucky little one. This persistent little hunter has died no less than 5 times within 10 minutes, and every time his soul runs over from the cemetery to resurrect, it is killed by a fireball from the royal family. Due to different factions, Wang Dao doesn't know what this little hunter is talking about. Just as his mage character was still dancing, the body of the little hunter suddenly disappeared, and a tombstone appeared in place. Seeing this scene, Wang Dao knew that the little hunter had finally given up running the corpse and chose to forcibly weaken and resurrect from the soul messenger. Ha ha ha. Consciously and successfully helping a Chinese flower quit internet addiction, Wang Dao laughed proudly. But he didn't want to be overjoyed and sorrowful. Just as he was lying on his back to vent his emotions, he accidentally knocked over the water glass in the cabin. Pai li pa bang. This water cup, which violates the rules of use for computer cabins, turned into a talisman, and the strong voltage caused by electric leakage made Wang Dao pass away peacefully. At the same time, a lightning bolt flashed through the window, as if paying tribute to the legendary life of this young richest man. Chapter 2. What kind of chaotic start is this? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the somewhat mottled wall, Wang Dao was a bit stunned. This is an old unit building, and he is staying in his room. It has been 7 days since I traveled to this world called Deep Blue, and Wang Dao has gradually combined his memory to understand the situation. I used to be an unemployed homeless person who dropped out of high school at the age of 19 and stayed at home all day. The gate remains open, the second gate remains open. Although also known as Wang Dao, he has a weak and introverted personality, and hardly communicates with outsiders. The reason why I didn't go to college is not because my grades were poor and I couldn't pass the exam. But it was because someone deliberately blocked me on the way to the exam, causing me to miss the start time. Nevertheless, the original body was afraid of causing trouble to the family and chose to conceal the matter. The consequence of doing so is the guidance of the surrounding neighbors and the disappointment of family members. My already weak personality has become even more autistic, and during this period, except for eating and using the bathroom, I haven't gone out of my room a few times. 7 days ago, due to the impact of an event, I passed out of mental depression and fainted, which led to the passage of the royal path. What kind of chaotic start is this? Combining with other memories in his mind, Wang Dao couldn't help but hold his head and lament. Others travel through time or become the inheritors of a large corporation, embracing life's pride. Either unleash the invincibility and unleash the power to kill in all directions. Why is it that when he comes to his kingdom, it's not just the beginning of the Tianhu game, but rather being stuck in the pot? Ding! The sudden voice interrupted the king's self-blame and made him suspect that he had hallucinations. But I did hear it just now, like something has been loaded. Just as the king was suspicious, a semi-transparent light curtain appeared before him. As he gazed intently, the light curtain became clearer, and the content above was undoubtedly revealed. Name: Wang Dao. Level: 0 Gender: Male. Race: Human. Power: 3 Agility, 3 Endurance, 5 Intelligence, 8 Spirit, 5 Note. The maximum value for ordinary humans is 10. A series of attribute descriptions dazzled Wang Dao, and he suddenly felt that this panel was somewhat familiar. Isn't this similar to the data panel of playing online games in my past life? It's just a bit specious. Wang Dao thought to himself and turned his gaze to the right side of the data panel. There is something in the shape of a crystal bead, which seems to be filled with energy and emits a dazzling spiritual light. Is this a beginner's gift package? The kind that can be lucky drawn? As a king who has experienced the era of data explosion and the internet, I immediately have a judgment. The data panel seemed to sense his thoughts, and Bao Zhu suddenly trembled. Buzz. When the light dissipated, a crystal lotus flower appeared before my eyes. Wang Dao stared closely at the center of the lotus, where a small golden red fireball floated. Before he could figure it out, little fireball suddenly charged towards him. Nest. Wang Dao instinctively wanted to avoid, but in vain because the fireball was moving too fast. The fireball plunged directly into his body, causing his whole body to tremble. It seems that a hot current is exploding in Wang Dao's mind, and inexplicable and mysterious information is imprinted into his consciousness. Infinite flame explosion technique. Wang Dao couldn't help but murmur, while at the same time, an additional line of characters appeared on the left side of the data panel. Skill. Infinite flame explosion technique. There is a smaller font explanation below this line. Skill description. Sing for 3.5 seconds and shoot a huge fireball at the enemy, dealing a large amount of spell damage. Skill attribute. Attacking an enemy can deal 100 plus 198% real damage from spell attacks, and an additional 80% real damage from spell attacks for 10 seconds, can stack up to 5 times. Skill consumption. 3% maximum magic value. Skill cooldown. 1 second, upgradable. Skill feature. Infinite. When your attack inflicts a critical hit on an enemy or hits a critical point, your next flame blast spell becomes instant and does not consume magic points. So what kind of magic modification is this? Just to confirm the skill description again, Wang Dao feels invincible. Watching the crystal lotus turn back into a precious pearl, with a dim color, he began to chant the flame explosion technique. Just as the fireball entered the king's mind, he learned how to cast this spell. Only when he finished singing and looked around without any movement did Wang Dao realize that he was too happy too early. No magic value. This data panel is not really like an online game, converting the spiritual intelligence of the king into magic points and spell attacks. After several attempts, Wang Dao gave up in despair. It seems that relying on the data panel to become a superhero in this world is already a delusion. The weak strength and agility values are dazzling, both telling him the fact that he is just a weak chicken. How to change the current situation? The memory in his mind tells Wang Dao that his family is almost at the bottom of this society. As for himself, he is often bullied due to his personality and other reasons. The latter is fine, and Wang Dao is confident that he will not live in a state of suffocation like his original self. But the current situation of this poor family urgently needs to be changed, and he, who has experienced the peak of his past life, does not want to stay at the bottom all the time. Relying on the data panel brought by this time travel cannot be extraordinary, so replicating the rise of the past life again. As long as you have unlimited wealth, it is acceptable to return to the simple and unadorned life of your past life. Wang Dao still remembers various prescriptions in ancient books clearly, and it is not difficult to replicate them. After a moment of contemplation, he shook his head and rejected the proposal. No other, because after all, it's not the world where you were so beautiful in your past life. The memory in my mind tells Wang Dao that the deep blue world is an era of technological explosion. The entire deep blue world has long had no concept of a country, collectively known as the Deep Blue Human Federation. Although it is still divided into administrative regions such as Asia and Europe and America, they are all managed by the federal government. There is no internal friction in war, only the pursuit of civilized development. Not only have various incurable diseases been conquered, but even productivity has been completely liberated. The diseases corresponding to those magical prescriptions in Wang Dao's memory have long been overcome by powerful biotechnology. The average life expectancy of humans has reached 150 years, with a greater emphasis on health and knowledge. Here, health is divided into mental and physical aspects, and in summary, the body is stronger and the mind is more free. For this reason, various fitness venues and martial arts clubs are popular in the reality of the Deep Blue Federation, and the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, is the hottest competition in the entire federation. In terms of spiritual construction, due to the implementation of virtual reality technology, various types of virtual worlds have permeated every aspect of life. For example, a fishing world that allows people to experience various scenes without leaving their homes, and a tourist world that recreates famous attractions around the world one by one. Even in the world of teaching empty male and female physiological knowledge, there are scenarios that require adults to pay to enter. Of course, the most popular gaming world is still loved by people as young as 130 and as young as 6. Thinking of this, Wang Dao's gaze couldn't help but turn to the corner of the room, where there was a box with a strong sense of technology in its design. He knew it was a valuable B.level game helmet called Apocalypse World, with a 90% virtual level inside. Apocalypse World is a large-scale online game suddenly pushed forward by the Deep Blue Federation, seemingly aiming to turn it into a human second world. It is claimed that anyone who likes any type of virtual world can find their favorite position within it. In addition, all major federal conglomerates have announced their plans to enter this game, and the popularity of Apocalypse World is predetermined. Since my data panel is so similar to online games, perhaps it can be useful in Apocalypse World. With a flash of spiritual light, Wang Dao thought of this question. If the idea is true, wouldn't it be possible to rise quickly with this magic modification and explosive technique? Ignoring the true damage advantage of defense is huge, and changing the status quo through it is also easy. The more you think about the king's way, the more reasonable you feel. Although this game helmet is the culprit that caused the original body to faint, it cannot be denied that it brings an opportunity. Tonight at 6 o'clock, it is the official time for the public beta of the Apocalypse World, and everything is arranged like fate. Lu Shiro, pray that my guess doesn't hold true. Otherwise, one day you will come and lick your toes. A girl's face flashed through his mind as pure as a snow lotus on a high mountain, with a towering expression. Wang Dao sneered and strode towards the box containing the helmet. Chapter 3. Dao San Sheng. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Click. Click. As Wang Dao pressed the switch button on the box, a mechanical sound came. It is truly a high-tech thing, and with this cool opening method, you can see a few things. When the box was completely opened, a pure black game helmet appeared in the eyes of the king. According to the method in memory, he attached the game helmet and put it on his head. There are still a few hours until the game officially starts, but it is already possible to create characters in advance. With the switch of King Dao, the game helmet is officially activated. His consciousness suddenly sank, as if entering another world. When Wang Dao regained his senses, a grand epic war scene appeared before his eyes. As the screen switches, different game professions are displayed one by one. Warriors who charge fearlessly and wield large swords, mages with control over elements and diverse means, a skilled archer with a curved bow and arrows. There are thieves who infiltrate the shadows and appear elusive. The enemies in these scenes are also different. There are demons with fangs and claws, various underground evil tribes, and endless void creatures. At the end of the screen is a giant bathed in starlight, with a towering figure spanning across the world. The giant spread out his hands, gradually revealing 4 big characters. Apocalypse World. Then the screen turned and Wang Dao appeared on the interface for creating game characters. System. Please select your nickname. For Season Rice. Wang Dao couldn't help but mention this memorable nickname, as he had been with him for a long time. System. Sorry, the nickname you have selected already exists. Damn it. System. Sorry, the nickname you have selected already exists. Wang Dao. 3 Seasons of Rice. Sorry. Second Season Rice. Sorry. Dao San Sheng. Wang Dao is speechless. How many people have created characters in this game? Such a tacky nickname has been used. Finally, he shouted out the name of the group he had created in his past life. If it still didn't work, he would randomly choose a name. System. Nickname created successfully, please select your profession. Wang Dao exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and finally succeeded. Choose a profession. There's no need to choose, definitely choose a mage. In fact, he wanted to choose a warrior because this game completely maps real-life attributes. Wang Dao believes that with the traditional Chinese martial arts techniques he has learned in his past life, choosing a melee professional warrior will undoubtedly have some advantages. It's just that now with the infinite flame and critical technique, mages are the best choice. System. Career selection successful, please select your race and adjust your appearance. Human race. After wandering among many races for a while, the king finally ruled out the dark camp and chose the human race with a 10% increase in reputation acquisition speed in the light camp. Finally, the appearance of the game characters was adjusted to be 9 points similar to their previous lives, and the human mage character, Dao San Sheng, was officially created. System. The character has been created and the game helmet has been successfully bound. System. Federal citizenship confirmation, personal account binding successful. System. Detecting physical attributes of citizens and generating character data. System. Warning, abnormal data detected, begin adaptive adjustment. System. Character generation completed. Wishing you a pleasant game. As the final sound of the system came out, Wang Dao's consciousness sank once again. When he came to his senses, he realized that he had become a mage character wearing a robe. There is a huge portal in front of me, with a transparent light curtain in the middle. There is a countdown in the middle of the light screen, which shows the time when the game is about to start. January 10, 19. There is still over an hour left, and it's time for the game to officially start at 6 p.m. In order not to affect the normal social order, the game time of Apocalypse starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. A total of 12 hours, allowing people to enjoy the virtual world while also ensuring rest, can be said to indirectly extend their lifespan by twice. Once Wang Dao has created the character, he takes off the game helmet and needs to solve dinner first. Opening the door, he took out the food left by his original mother before she set out on the stall from the freezer. Ignoring the body's resistance, the king forced himself to finish all the food. This body is too weak, as can be seen from its pitiful attribute values. Now that Wang Dao has crossed over, he will naturally not be as delicate as his original self anymore. Fortunately, his body is only 18 years old and can still be saved, especially the development of a certain part that he is very satisfied with. After eating, Wang Dao walked out of the house. He walked out of the community amidst the surprised gazes of the cool elderly residents. Taking a walk around for half an hour, Wang Dao confirmed his memory and familiarized himself with the surrounding environment of the community. It was probably not early, so he hurriedly returned to the community. When he went up to the unit building, the group of cool gentlemen and aunties who used to take care of him withdrew their gaze and began to discuss. "Isn't that the child from Shirong's house on the 5th floor? He went out for a walk, it's really like the sun is shining in the west." "No, I heard that this child has been hiding at home ever since he failed the exam, and he hasn't helped the family. It's really hard for Shirong to pull him so big alone. If you ask me, this child is useless. Apart from being good-looking, he has nothing to do with anything. It's not my fault that his child bride has severed ties with them. Shoo, don't talk about others, in case Li Jizi hears about it and wants to trouble you." The discussion king behind him naturally didn't hear it, and even if he did, he wouldn't take it seriously. That's all the impression left by his original self, what's the point with him being a king? Returning home and going to the restroom, Wang Dao saw that it was almost 6 o'clock. Quickly arriving at the room, he put on his pure black gaming helmet again. With a heavy consciousness, Wang Dao appeared again in front of the door, and the time displayed on the light screen was only 1 minute countdown left. Be prepared, and at the last second of the countdown, he strode into the light curtain. The reversal of heaven and earth, the transformation of time and space. When he regained consciousness again, Wang Dao had appeared in a village of the human Storm Empire. There are countless new villages like Storm Empire, each with a maximum capacity of 10,000 people. Don't squeeze, everyone line up one by one. A soldier shouted, trying to make the chaotic crowd queue up to pick up the task. In the world of apocalypse, the rise of Long Hao is right here. The young man with a center point was full of energy. I heard that this game can help the old man regain his strength. It seems that I, Yisher San Lang, will be back in the world. The old man with gray hair was falsely promoted. Wang Dao Mao squeezed out from the crowd and headed straight towards a sparsely populated area. I didn't try to get into the crowd of sardine and find the village head with a yellow exclamation mark on his head to accept the task. Not to mention whether he can squeeze in with his current weak physique, even if he receives a novice task. What Wang Dao is currently focusing on is his character data panel, whether the magic modification and explosive spells have appeared synchronously in the game. With a nervous anticipation, he clicked on the character data panel. Nickname: Dao San Sheng race. Human level 0 occupation. Mage attributes: Strength 3, Agility 3, Endurance 5, Intelligence 8, Spirit 5 health. 50/50ths, 1 stamina equals 10 health, magic value. 50/50ths, 1 spirit equals 10 magic points, experience. 0/1000 physical attack. 6, 1 point of strength equals 2 points of attack, spell attack. 16, 1 intelligence equals 2 spell attacks, physical defense. 0, 10 points of armor equals 1 point of physical defense, appearing on equipment above level 15, spell defense. 0, 1 point of spell resistance is equal to 1 point of spell defense, which only applies to corresponding attributes such as flame, frost, shadow, arcane, nature, etc., appearing on equipment above level 20, maximum movement speed. 3. Before reaching the 10-point threshold, 1 agility is equal to 1 movement speed, and after that, 1 agility increases by 0.1 movement speed, skill. Magic missile: sing for 1.5 seconds and shoot a missile towards the target, dealing 110% spell attack damage. Skill cooldown time is no longer available, consuming 5 magic points, talent skill. Infinite flame explosion technique. Chapter 4. Upgrading is not easy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the moment when the infinite flame explosion technique appeared on the data panel, Wang Dao was already prepared. After confirming that the modified version of flame explosion technique was identical to the data panel presented in reality, he finally showed a complete smile. This person is so silly, why are they laughing here? Did they receive a hidden mission? The novice village is so big, with 10,000 people taking missions everywhere. Is there a hidden mission round to get him? I guess he's crazy if he can't get the mission. Hurry up, hurry up. Many people have already gone to kill toads, and if we go late, we won't be able to catch any monsters. Without paying attention to the neurotic gaze around him, Wang Dao knew he had the capital to rise in this century-old game. From the character data panel, it can be seen that the game, Apocalypse World, completely replicates the basic attributes of the player's real body. Based on a human's full-level attribute of 10 points, Wang Dao is considered to have excellent intelligence, while others are at a slightly lower average level. Especially in terms of strength and agility, they are far inferior to normal adult males. Based on his basic attributes, it was difficult for him to grow without the help of a team. But now with infinite flame explosion, everything will be different. Just like when I first learned about the function of ancient books in my previous life, I let out a little excitement. Wang Dao opened his backpack, which contained nothing but a new technique staff and 10 copper coins. The shape of the staff is like a wooden stick, except for being relatively heavy, the material is very poor. But fortunately, it belongs to two-handed weapons and comes with higher physical attacks. Weapons are divided into two-handed weapons, main-handed weapons, and secondary-handed weapons. Players can generally only equip one two-handed weapon or main-handed weapon with secondary-handed weapons. New technique staff. Two-handed weapon, broken. Durability. None. Equipment requirement. None. Equipment position. Hands. Attribute. Physical attack 8.10, spell attack 3.5. Description. This is indeed a staff, although it is almost useless except for being heavier. Take the new technique wand to your hand, and the physical attack of the King's Way will become 14.16, and the spell attack will become 19.21. The quality of equipment in the Apocalypse world can be divided into Grey Ragged, White Ordinary, Green Excellent, Blue Excellent, Purple Epic, Orange Rare World, Golden Legend, and Red Myth, Artifact. According to Wang Dao's previous promotion of Apocalypse World, not only is the upgrade extremely slow in Apocalypse World, but the equipment explosion rate is also extremely low. However, precisely because of this, the currency system of the Apocalypse will be very stable. The value of a copper coin is equivalent to the actual credit point value, and may even exceed it in the early stages of the game. Run to the pharmacy and spend all the 10 copper coins gifted by the system. Wang Dao also has 2 bottles of red medicine and 3 bottles of blue medicine in his backpack. He noticed that this pharmacy seemed to only have these 2 types of potions. Small bottle of therapeutic potion. Immediately restores 50 health points and cooldown time of 30 seconds. Small bottle magic potion. Immediately restores 50 magic points, cooldown time of 30 seconds. After finishing all of this, I took another look at the crowded village chief's office. There are still a lot of people there, and they can't get close, so naturally they can't take on tasks. Shaking his head, Wang Dao decided to level up by fighting monsters first. Passing through the crowd and exiting the village, he saw a small river. System. You have discovered the flowing light river. The small river is densely packed with players everywhere, waiting for the toad to refresh. Red Skin Toad. Level 1, an ordinary monster with a health of 100 out of 100. A toad the size of a basketball doesn't look so cute, with an attacking tongue that is half a meter long. Although the toad may seem difficult to deal with and has a large number of refreshes, there are unfortunately too many enemies. Whenever a toad refreshes and has not had a chance to breathe a breath of fresh air, it is greeted by more than 10 new weapons. Surrounded by dozens of various long-range attacks flying simultaneously, it is extremely disrespectful of martial arts. Quack. The poor toad only had time to let out a mournful cry and was brutally dismembered. Wang Dao mixed in the crowd, singing for 1.5 seconds. Before he fired a magic missile and hit the toad, the monster's final blow had already been taken away by someone. In the Apocalypse world, unless teamed up, monster experience is obtained by the person who takes the last hit. In this situation, compared to melee professions, ranged professions suffer a significant loss in seizing the last strike. Often, without waiting for the chanting spell to strike, the experience is stolen by nearby professions such as warriors and thieves. In the end, many mages, sorcerers, and other players simply gave up chanting spells and swung their wands straight up. Because Apocalypse World completely replicates the player's physical attributes, the physical attacks of different professions are not significantly different at the beginning of this game. Even some mages with good physical fitness have a basic strength of 6.7 points, and with heavy novice staff, their physical attacks are higher than some thieves. Wang Dao has no team and no familiar friends, so it is basically impossible to rely on luck to win the final blow of experience. Helplessly, he could only stay away from the crowd and walk towards other places, trying to find other types of monsters. Walking along the small river, the view gradually broadens. Wang Dao can smell the fragrance of wild flowers by the river, mixed with the moist scent of the river water. Looking into the distance, one can see the blue sky and white clouds, towering mountains, and even occasional birds passing by in the air. Although he had his original memories, Wang Dao was still amazed by the feeling that resembled the real world. This is still a B.level game helmet with a 90% virtual level, which is almost indistinguishable from reality. If it were an A.level game helmet with a 95% virtual level, or even a game cabin with a claimed 99.99% virtual level, then it would really be equivalent to another world. Of course, whether it's an A.level helmet or a game deck, it's not something that the king can expect now. Based on Wang Dao's original family background, if it weren't for accidents, he wouldn't be able to afford even this 90% virtual B.level helmet. Taking back his thoughts, Wang Dao continued to walk along the small river and saw a green grassland ahead from a distance. System. You have discovered the Qingqing grassland. The number of players appearing here is gradually decreasing, and most of them are forming teams in groups of 3 or 5. And the monsters they teamed up to attack also appeared in the eyes of the king. Giant Toothed Rabbit. Level 2, a regular monster with a health of 200 to 200. Is this a rabbit? It must have eaten a puffing agent. Seeing a rabbit the size of a wolfhound, Wang Dao couldn't help roast. Both the red-skinned toad and the giant toothed rabbit are not actively attacking monsters, which is why the king can walk here safely. Find a freshly refreshed rabbit, and the king begins to chant spells. 3.5 seconds later, a huge fireball struck the giant toothed rabbit from a distance of 30 yards. 140, 1, 2 The giant toothed rabbit let out a mournful cry and was stumbling by a huge fireball, causing a huge amount of damage to sprout from its head. The rabbit that received the attack immediately stopped eating grass and quickly rushed towards the royal path, jumping and jumping. However, as he approached him, the rabbit's head continued to emit damage, which was an additional burning damage from the flame explosion technique. It's really real damage, there's no discount at all. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Wang Dao began to sing magic missiles. Although the flame explosion spell is stuck at the maximum attack distance of the spell, this distance is not enough to rub the second one, so one can only choose a magic missile with a shorter chanting time. 15.16. The singing of 2 magic missiles has ended, and the giant toothed rabbit has rushed to the front of the King Dao. At this point, apart from the burning damage, the giant toothed rabbit still has 23 points of health left. Oh no, there's a calculation error. I'm probably going to be attacked. I hope this rabbit's attack isn't too outrageous. I wonder if we can dodge the attack. Watching the giant toothed rabbit jump up and extend its legs towards him, Wang Dao silently swung his staff. Chapter 5. Robbed Monster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang. 12 The staff hit the giant toothed rabbit's leg, knocking out some of its health. At the same time, Wang Dao also felt a tightness in his chest, and his health suddenly decreased by 25 points. At that moment, he wanted to dodge sideways, but unfortunately his brain couldn't keep up with the movement and he was still kicked by the rabbit's leg. Enduring the pain, before the giant toothed rabbit attacked him again, another staff hit him. 13 The giant toothed rabbit emptied its blood and fell to the ground. System. Gain experience points of 40, killing monsters at level 2 increases experience points by 100%. In the Apocalypse world, killing monsters at level 1 can earn an additional 50% of experience points. Damn it, although this is a virtual reality game, after all, it's a game. Why do monsters hurt so much when they hit people? Wang Dao rubbed his chest, looking puzzled. Before attacking the giant toothed rabbit, he calculated its movement speed and health. With flame blast and magic missiles, as long as you add a staff before the rabbit attacks him, you can kill monsters without damage. I didn't expect to overlook the fact that the giant toothed rabbit has a few physical and magical defenses, so it cannot use a staff to attack again before being attacked by a monster. This is all fine, but what's the reason for the high pain in playing this game? By the way, it hurts. With a fierce pat on the head, Wang Dao opened the character data panel. Sure enough, find a system setting at the bottom of the panel, which contains the pain setting. Not only that, Wang Dao also realized that he had only focused on the explanation of infinite flame explosion technique before, and had not even discovered the 5 free attributes gifted by the system. Looking at the pain setting of 1% to 100%, Wang Dao did not hesitate at all. True warriors, dare to face the dripping blood. After setting the pain level to 1%, he began to consider how to allocate 5 free attributes. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Dao added all 5 free attributes to his intelligence. Now his intelligence has reached 13 points and his spell attacks have reached 29.31. In this way, with the infinite flame explosion technique, Wang Dao can kill the giant toothed rabbit without damage. In this early stage, when others only had one skill, the king who possessed the infinite flame explosion technique already had the capital to independently kill monsters without damage. Apocalypse World, there is no vocational skill trainer in the novice village, and each profession only has a common skill for its own profession that comes with the system. For example, the priests, healing minor injuries, the warriors, warrior strike, and the shooters, balanced shooting. Only when players leave the novice village and go to the main city, choose their specialization direction, can they learn exclusive and general vocational skills from the transferred trainers. The universal vocational skills mentioned here refer to skills that can be learned by current professions. For example, the warriors' breaking army charge and the thief's stealth. And exclusive vocational skills are skills that can only be learned after choosing a specialization direction after level 10. For example, only shield armor warriors can learn shield block, and warriors who choose to specialize in fury cannot learn it. There are not many skills in the beginner stage, and upgrading is just so difficult. Of course, if you're lucky enough to get a skill book, that's another story. So in this situation, the king's way of riding the giant toothed rabbit alone is undoubtedly on the fast lane of upgrading. Even those well-trained teams in groups of 3 or 5 can't compare. Infinite Flame Explosion, Magic Missile, .160, .2, .3, .27, .25. This time went very smoothly, the giant toothed rabbit fell to the ground before attacking the King Dao. System. Gain experience points of 40, killing monsters at level 2 increases experience points by 100%. Reaching under the giant toothed rabbit, he felt like the previous one, with nothing but a handful of broken rabbit fur. Broken rabbit hair. Ragged, with no level. Description. It is of no use except for using it to make a fire. The apocalypse world is really stingy. Even if I kill monsters alone at level 2, I didn't say I'll get a piece of equipment. Throw away the rabbit hair in your hand, and Wang Dao continues to search for the next target. At present, upgrading is still crucial. Upgrading to level 1 requires 1000 experience points, and he also needs to kill 23 giant toothed rabbits. .161, .3, .2, .27. Another set of silky and smooth combos, the giant toothed rabbit has very little health left. As long as the King Dao adds another magic missile, he can take it down. Even if you want to save magic points, you can use a staff to knock on the giant toothed rabbit before it attacks you to complete the kill. At this moment, an arrow flew from the slanted thorn and nailed it to the giant toothed rabbit. .19. The giant toothed rabbit emptied its blood and fell to the ground, but Wang Dao's brow furrowed. I was robbed by a monster. Looking in the direction of the arrow flying over, a group of 5 players appeared in the eyes. This is a standard team of 5, consisting of warriors, knights, mages, priests, and marksmen. The first person holding a novice bow and arrow, with a slender figure and a very vulgar name, is called the prodigal Miao Renfeng. Seeing Wang Dao looking towards this side, the archer named the prodigal Miao Renfeng raised his eyebrows without any explanation. How could the king, who was so provoked by others, tolerate it, and immediately began chanting spells? But when he finished singing his spell, he found that he couldn't lock the target, let alone attack the opponent. System. During the novice protection period, you cannot attack the opponent. Boom. Hatred threw the fireball to the side, scorching a patch of grass, and Wang Dao silently turned around. Wasn't Miao Renfeng the prodigal son, and there were also a few female pastors named Li Macho from the border city. Remembering the names of several people in his heart, Wang Dao walked towards the distance. This group of people don't know why they suddenly snatched his monster, but during the novice protection period, they can't compete, so staying here is meaningless. If I were to be robbed again, wouldn't I become a worker? Langzi, has that kid left? Follow him over, asked the warrior named Great Xiaogua Jing. Yeah, prodigal brother, you didn't see that kid's expression just now and still wanted to PK us, you're laughing at me. The female pastor Li Macho in the border city covered her mouth and smiled coquettishly. I don't know if I can't compete before I leave the beginner's village at level 10. I don't even think about it. Even if I can compete, with his ability as a fragile mage, I can beat the 5 of us. Other knights and mages also agreed upon hearing this, their words filled with mockery of the royal way. However, the leading marksman, the prodigal Miao Renfeng, had a calm expression and finally spoke in a condensed voice. Forget it, don't follow me anymore. Upgrading is important. I thought this kid had 2 skills at level 0, so there must be some opportunities. I want to explore them. I didn't expect my personality to be decisive, and I immediately left when I realized I couldn't compete. Speaking of which, the shooter looked at the other members of the team. This time, Apocalypse World is different from other virtual games in the past. The Federation is fully pushing to create a second world for humanity. I heard that other virtual games on the market have been completely shut down, including the studio's previous main focus on Holy Domain. So this game is different from before, with various big powers, numerous big corporations, and a gathering of professional experts. This is also our opportunity. The opportunity for the rise of the 5 heroes group is in the Apocalypse World. The other few people, excited by the words spoken by the prodigal Miao Renfeng, nodded repeatedly, wishing for an immediate battle. Li Macho in the border city blushed even more, immersed in the charm of the marksman's guidance of the country. During their conversation, Wang Dao had already disappeared from their sight with a new technique cane. Chapter 6. Training Treasure Land. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wang Dao, who had left the group of 5 heroes from afar, turned around and breathed a sigh of relief when he realized that those few people had not followed. Just now, I was a bit impulsive, but fortunately there was a beginner protection period. Otherwise, with his current attributes, he would definitely not be able to defeat the other 5 players in a real battle. And if the other party catches up with him, it won't be possible to upgrade, let alone quickly rise and improve the current situation. A gentleman seeks revenge, it's not too late for 10 years. Wang Dao decided to prepare these people well when his level rises in the future. He thought about the reason for the opponent's action, probably because he used 2 skills. Everyone only has 1 skill, working hard to defeat monsters. Suddenly realizing that there are 2 skills at level 0 of the King's Way, one of which deals such high damage, one will naturally feel unhappy in their heart, as can be anticipated in monster snatching. This is called not suffering from scarcity but suffering from inequality. If everyone doesn't have it, then you have it. If it doesn't target you, who will it target? Thinking of this, Wang Dao is prepared to continue moving forward and find a place where there is no one to level up monsters. The Qingqing grassland is very large, not just a monster like the giant toothed rabbit. Passing through the refresh area of the giant toothed rabbit, another monster appeared in front of me. Blade Horn Sheep. Level 3, ordinary monster with 320/320 health. There are no other players to see here, only numerous black sheep monsters with sharp horns. The level of Blade Horn Sheep is 3 levels higher than that of King Dao, and the monster avatar frame has shown a faint red color. This indicates that the monster's strength surpasses that of the player by a lot, and there is already a certain probability of missing skills. Of course, this probability is only about 10%. If the monster's level exceeds the player's level by more than 10, the player will not be able to see the monster's level and health, only a skull symbol will appear. 320 health points. Wang Dao needs 2 infinite flame explosion spells to kill. But based on the maximum attack distance of 30 yards, he can only perform the infinite flame explosion spell with a chanting time of 3.5 seconds once. There are still too few skills. If there are control skills like resist fire ring or flash art that can widen the distance, it will be much easier to handle. Shaking his head and calculating for half a day, Wang Dao still gave up attacking the Blade Horn Sheep. He doesn't want to experience the attack power of Blade Horn Sheep with 50 health points. Continuing forward, Wang Dao saw a valley where he could still hear the sound of a waterfall from a distance. System. You have discovered the magic Snail Valley. As he approached, his eyes suddenly lit up, and a slow-moving monster appeared in sight. Magic Snail. Level 4, Ordinary Monster, Health 410 out of 410. The head frame of the demonized snail turned a little red in the eyes of the king. Moreover, the monster's name was no longer the yellow color of an ordinary giant-toothed rabbit blade horn sheep, but turned red. This represents a type of monster that will actively attack, and players will be attacked as soon as they enter the range of hatred. However, this is not the point. Wang Dao is pleased with the slow movement speed of the demonized snail. That slow and leisurely posture makes people want to whip a few lashes behind their backs to speed up their pace. Find a lonely demonized snail, and Wang Dao stands at the extreme distance and hits it with a magic missile. 28. After being attacked, the demonized snail immediately turned around and crawled towards the royal path. Although the movement speed of demonized snails entering combat mode has increased slightly compared to free movement, the increase is not significant. After Wang Dao attacked, his eyes lit up and he immediately turned around and ran. When he broke free from the hatred range of the demonized snail, the snail turned back and continued to wander, only then did he stop. Through the probing just now, Wang Dao discovered that the magic defense of this monster is extremely low, almost non-existent. And that slow movement speed is enough for him to hit 1 infinite flame explosion spell and 2 magic missiles. Before entering combat mode, you can chant and strike an infinite flame explosion technique in advance, which is enough damage to calculate. The calculated king immediately began to take action, and in order to prevent attracting other monsters, he only searched for the lonely demonized snail. Soon, by the edge of a cluster of shrubs, a demonized snail basking in the sun was fortunate. Infinite flame explosion technique, infinite flame explosion technique, magic missile, magic missile. 162.3.2.163.6.27.5.6.27. After a series of attacks, the demonized snail still has 9 health points left. As the demonized snail approached him, Wang Dao confidently swung his wand and smashed it onto the snail's shell. Bang! 8. Damn it! Wang Dao was caught off guard and didn't expect the magic defense of this demonized snail to be extremely low, but the physical defense to be so high. Done. Free return. 3. Just as he was in despair, a scorching damage appeared on the head of the demonized snail, and then he stopped moving. System. Gain experience points of 123, killing monsters at level 4 increases experience points by 200%. Wang Dao felt uplifted and glanced at the character's upgrade experience. Experience 203/1000. As long as you kill 7 more demonized snails, you can level up to 1. Compared to a large army still killing red-skinned toads or elite players teaming up to brush giant-toothed rabbits, Wang Dao's experience in killing a demonized snail is equivalent to them fighting for half a day. It would be wise for him to spend so much time looking for suitable monsters to level up. About a quarter of an hour later, a brilliant golden light suddenly appeared from the bottom of Wang Dao's feet. System. You have upgraded and gained 5 free attributes by adding 1 to all attributes. The current level is 1. Finally upgraded to level 1, Wang Dao doesn't know if he's the first. However, even if it's not the first one, it definitely ranks at the top, but there are currently no level rankings to view. Once again, habitually touching the body of the demonized snail, Wang Dao's expression suddenly froze. Because the feeling in my hand is different from before, it used to be a worn-out snail shell. Did character explode and equipment appear? Wang Dao couldn't wait to touch the body and see what he had obtained. System. You obtain a thick snail shell. Thick snail shell. Chest armor, regular. Durability. 76/100. Equipment requirements. Level 4, strength greater than 10, physical profession. Equipment location. Chest. Attributes. Endurance 8, strength 3, physical defense 4. Description. Wearing it will bring you a full sense of security. Damn it. Wang Dao doesn't know how many times he cursed his mother today, but finally his character exploded and he used equipment. It's still a chest armor with a lot of attributes added, but he can't wear it. Although this breastplate looks a bit ugly, its properties are really fragrant. If the king can equip it, the health can immediately increase by 80, and the sense of security can be instantly elevated by 1 level. Unfortunately, he is a legal profession and has no connection with this drool-inducing equipment. Helpless, he put the heavy snail shell into his backpack and allocated the newly acquired attribute points. This time, Wang Dao was allocated 2 points of intelligence and 3 points of spirit, because he found that the original magic value was not enough. After allocating attribute points, his spell attacks increased by 4 points, reaching 35.37. Originally, the intelligence attribute was high, but now this spell attack is definitely a peerless existence. Chapter 7. The True Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After assigning the attributes, Wang Dao continued his snail farming career. Although leveling up to level 1 reduces the experience gained, compared to other players who work hard to fight monsters, it is definitely a lot. The experience required to upgrade from level 1 to level 2 has doubled, requiring 2,000 experience points. That is to say, the king only needs to kill about 20 demonized snails to level up again, which is still very fast. Once again, he found a lonely demonized snail and began to preview the infinite flame explosion technique. But this time, unlike before, when the royal magic was ready, the demonized snail suddenly turned its head towards him. With a frown, he still threw the fireball out. Previously, the king's way was to start attacking monsters from behind, and when they were attacked, there would be a turning motion. In this way, we can buy more time for Wang Dao and deal with it more calmly. I didn't expect this wandering demonized snail to suddenly turn its head, a bit disrupting its rhythm. However, it's not a big deal. Now that Wang Dao has reached level 1, his spell attacks have increased by a total of 6 points after adding points, and he can complete the kill point 237.3.3 when this fireball hit the demonized snail. Wang Dao was momentarily stunned by the huge yellow damage value that suddenly appeared. When the damage suddenly increases so much in the infinite flame explosion technique, why is the color of the damage value that jumps out yellow? However, this is not the time to dwell on this. As the demonized snail arches towards us, it is important to kill it first. Thinking of this king, he quickly prepared to sing Magic Missile, but the abnormality in the skill bar stunned him once again. I saw a circle of golden light appearing in the frame of the infinite flame explosion technique, indicating that the skill is ready to be instantly cast. Without much time to think, Wang Dao took advantage of the situation and used his skills. In an instant, a huge fireball condensed out of nowhere and once again hit the demonized snail. 164. With the addition of skill burning damage, demonize the snail to clear its health and fall to the ground. System. Gain experience points of 102, killing monsters at level 3 increases experience points by 150%. The monster fell to the ground, and Wang Dao did not check if anything had exploded, but instead called up the battle log. Only when he saw the small character description after the 237 damage points did he know the cause and effect of the situation. 237, critical attack, deals damage bonus of 143%. Critical attack. So the infinite flame explosion technique just now accidentally attacked the critical point of the demonized snail, triggering the skill feature. Infinite. Wang Dao carefully recalled that just now, due to the sudden turn of the demonized snail, the fireball seemed to hit its head position. It seems that the head of the demonized snail belongs to the vulnerable position, and the coincidence just now happened to allow the infinite flame explosion technique to launch a crucial attack. To understand the reason, Wang Dao called up the skill bar and reviewed the description of infinite flame explosion technique again, especially the explanation of skill characteristics. Infinite. When your attack inflicts a critical hit on an enemy or hits a critical point, your next flame blast spell becomes instant and does not consume magic points. It seems that my previous understanding was somewhat biased. The true magic modification of infinite flame explosion technique is not its true damage, but this infinite feature. Wang Dao muttered to himself. Luckily he had always thought that the real damage was the abnormality of this talent skill. He glanced at the infinity feature before and thought he needed to stack his critical hit rate to a very high level to be effective, so he didn't pay attention. Now it seems that he is superficial. How could the skills gifted by Golden Finger be so simple? Moreover, based on his previous study of infinite properties, he now has a guess. Does it mean that not only spell attacks, but also physical attacks can trigger this feature when your attack inflicts critical damage or hits a critical point on the enemy? Unfortunately, Wang Dao chose the crispy skin mage, otherwise it could be verified. Picking up the demonized snail corpses that were instantly killed by the two infinite flame explosions just now still yielded nothing. However, Wang Dao didn't care either. Now he has a more efficient way to deal with monsters. Infinite Flame Explosion Art, Infinite Flame Explosion Art. The joyful journey of monster hunting has begun, and experience points are rapidly increasing. With the increase of monster hunting, Wang Dao also discovered more tricks. Firstly, when facing a demonized snail, he is more likely to hit the snail's head, thus causing critical attacks and triggering infinite features. Secondly, magic missiles with shorter chanting times can also trigger infinite features faster. As long as the feature is triggered, the infinite flame explosion technique that instantly emits without consuming magic points is a second monster divine skill. The king, who has increased his monster spawning efficiency several times, is enchanted with demonizing snails while thinking about scenarios where his critical hit rate will increase in the future. Because the trajectory of skill release is controlled by the system, it cannot be guaranteed that the monster's vital points can be attacked every time. Wang Dao's discovery of the weakness of the demonized snail, coupled with his deliberately chosen angle, is now the reason why he can continuously trigger the infinite feature. But if the critical hit rate increases, wouldn't it be possible to continuously trigger the feature? At that time, it was the true infinite flame explosion technique. Thinking in his heart, Wang Dao's skills were not idle either. Just over a dozen minutes later, with the golden light rising from his feet again, he rose to level 2. Due to the fact that the triggering feature of infinite flame explosion does not consume mana, Wang Dao adjusted his bonus strategy. This time, he added 5 free attributes in the way of 3 intelligence and 2 spirit points. Now Wang Dao's character data panel has become: Nickname: Dao San Sheng Race. Human level 2. Occupation: Mage. Attributes: Strength 5, Agility 5, Endurance 7, Intelligence 20, Spirit 12. Health 70/70ths, 1 Stamina equals 10 health. Magic value 120/120, 1 spirit equals 10 magic points, experience. 15/4000 physical attack. 18.20, 1 strength equals 2 attacks, spell attack. 43.45, 1 intelligence equals 2 spell attacks, physical defense. 0, 10 points of armor equals 1 point of physical defense, appearing on equipment above level 15, spell defense. 0, 1 point of spell resistance is equal to 1 point of spell defense, which only applies to corresponding attributes such as flame, frost, shadow, arcane, nature, etc., appearing on equipment above level 20, maximum movement speed. 5. Before reaching the 10-point threshold, 1 agility is equal to 1 movement speed, and after that, 1 agility increases by 0.1 movement speed, skill. Magic missile, sing for 1.5 seconds and shoot a missile towards the target, dealing 110% spell attack damage, talent skill. Infinite flame explosion technique, equipment. New technique staff, after reaching level 2, the experience bonus of killing monsters by jumping over the level is reduced by 50%. Now killing a demonized snail can only earn 82 experience points. However, Wang Dao has no intention of transferring the upgrade location, at least not until reaching level 5. Because after reaching level 5, brushing level 4 of demonized snails will reduce experience by 50%, which is somewhat counterproductive. Looking at the demonized snails scattered throughout the valley, in the eyes of the king, they are densely packed with experience points. Jie Jie, little snails, Dad is here. Chapter 8. Summoning Snails. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, more than an hour has passed. Wang Dao, who has been brushing monsters alone for so long, doesn't feel bored at all. Instead, she is somewhat immersed in the pleasure of instant monsters. It wasn't until a golden light rose from his feet that he suddenly realized it. Is this going to level 3? It's really like cutting paper with a razor. So fast. However, when calculated carefully, it's similar because the damage caused by Wang Dao now is too exaggerated. In this early stage, when someone else's skill dealt over 20 damage points, their fireball dealt nearly 200 real damage. Especially now when it comes to demonizing snails and finding the tricks, the king's way can almost always trigger critical attacks. And once a critical attack is triggered, it is a huge damage of over 200, coupled with infinite features, almost a flash kill. On average, it takes less than 10 seconds to kill a demonized snail. Even with the time it takes to find a suitable location and adjust the character's attack angle, he has already killed 40 to 50 demonized snails. Allocate the 5 free attributes obtained from upgrading, and still maintain 3 intelligence and 2 spirit. After adding points, the King's Way spell attack increases by 6 points again, reaching 51.53. Looking at the backpack, apart from a few bottles of potions, there was still only 1 thick snail shell inside. It seems that even if this snail shell can be seen but not worn, it was just a result of a burst of character before. Close the backpack, and the king begins to search for the next demonized snail. Upgrading from level 3 to level 4 requires an additional 2,000 points of experience, and now upgrading requires 6,000 points of experience. Moreover, currently only 50% more experience can be gained by demonizing snails, and the king needs to level up with an additional 100, making it increasingly difficult to level up. However, thinking that it had only been a few hours since the server was opened, he was instantly relieved. Keep working hard and strive to reach level 5 before any players arrive here. Setting a goal for oneself, Wang Dao's gaze once again locked on a slow and enchanted snail. 1, 2, 3 As more and more demonized snails died at the hands of the king, he once again discovered a trick. When the skill fired hits the tentacles on the head of a demonized snail, the critical attack bonus triggered will suddenly increase significantly. Critical attacks, in other words, attack the weaknesses of monsters, causing damage bonuses ranging from 110% to 200%. The reason for such a range is that you cannot guarantee that every skill will hit the center of the weakness. So the true weakness of demonizing snails lies not in their heads, but in the tentacles that stretch and shrink on their heads. To verify this speculation, Wang Dao adjusted the angle and slightly raised the skill trajectory. Magic Missile. 93. The king was overjoyed that just an ordinary magic missile could cause such terrifying damage, and it seemed that his guess was true. Throw out the flame explosion spell triggered by the infinite feature, deal another terrifying damage, and instantly clear the health bar of the demonized snail. Check the battle log. Just now the damage bonus of Magic Missile reached 181%, and the damage bonus of Infinite Flame Explosion reached 174%. Terrifying like this. Wang Dao opened his mouth, knowing that his monster brushing efficiency had improved a bit. Unfortunately, this efficiency can only be reflected in demonizing snails, and it is still unknown whether it can be replicated when encountering other monsters in the future. Because the probability of finding live targets like demonized snails that move slowly, have almost zero magic defense, and have their weaknesses identified is too low. Shaking his head, Wang Dao didn't think too much. It can be said that finding this kind of monster in the early stages of the game is a tremendous blessing. With the addition of Infinite Flame Blast, it is enough for him to establish an advantage and lead other players. The next process of monster spawning is simple and uninteresting, and the yellow key attack damage is somewhat pleasing to the eye. Magic Missile, Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. 96, 0.348. Two skills sent a demonized snail away, and Wang Dao glanced at his experience and killed two more to level 4. At this point, he was already deep in the Demon Snail Valley, and time had passed quite a while. Just as Wang Dao was preparing to find two more demonized snails to kill and then upgrade to level 4, a cave suddenly appeared in the corner of his eye. Boss. Or is it a task? Between lightning and flint, this thought flashed through my mind. With this idea in mind, Wang Dao quickly came to the cave. Strangely enough, there is no activity of demonizing snails within a range of several dozen yards around the cave. At this moment, a huge demonized snail appeared in the sight of the king in the cave. Summoning Snail. Level 5, Rare Monster with a health of 5000/5000. Rare Monsters. Wang Dao's eyes lit up, as if he had discovered some treasure. Monsters in the Apocalypse world are generally divided into ordinary level monsters, elite level monsters, leader level monsters, lord level monsters, legendary level monsters, king level monsters, and mythological level monsters. Because lord level monsters are likely to release epic level items, they are also known as epic level monsters. Similarly, the legendary level corresponds to the rare world level, the king level corresponds to the legendary level, and the mythological level remains unchanged. There is another type beyond these categories, which is rare monsters. Rare monsters are extremely rare, and often only one will refresh on a map, or even none. In addition, the refresh cooldown of rare monsters also takes a long time, ranging from 1 month to 3 months. However, on the contrary, the probability of rare monsters exploding good things also greatly increases. Also, at this stage, only the King Dao has arrived here, otherwise this rare monster would definitely not have waited for him to be discovered by a scattered person. Just discovering it is one thing, and whether it can be fought is another matter. Watching the blue snail wandering back and forth in the cave, Wang Dao's mind quickly calculated. Based on the damage he currently inflicts on ordinary demonized snails, an average damage of around 350 points after a critical attack with an infinite flame explosion spell. The demonized snail was attacked and approached for approximately over 6 seconds. Assuming that the King Dao's first skill, Flame Explosion, hits a critical attack and then triggers an infinite feature. So in the next 6 seconds, he can perform 6 infinite flame burst spells while standing and masturbating. This adds up to 1,400 damage points, which is still 2,100 points short. And this is the boss in front of me, the speed must be far faster than ordinary demonized snails, and I can't give you 6 seconds of standing time. The damage is a bit far. Even if he fights and pulls back, he is likely to be caught up quickly. Wang Dao is a bit bald, but he can't think of any good way. Although he couldn't resist watching the rare monster in the cave, it was no different from seeking death. The road of a lone wolf is not easy to walk. From the current perspective, it is indeed a bit difficult for a person in certain situations. With the infinite flame explosion technique, although Wang Dao surpasses ordinary players by a large margin, at this stage, he is not invincible by himself. For example, at this moment, if another player helps the king resist, even if he tries to buy 5 or 6 more seconds, he can kill this rare monster. Suppressing temptation and looking away from the cave, Wang Dao continued to brush the demonized snail. After spending a few minutes killing 2 demonized snails, he upgraded again to level 4. Add all 5 free attributes to intelligence, and the magic attack of the king's way reaches 63.65. There is no other reason for being so extreme, just because he is still unwilling to give up on this rare monster. Wang Dao just wants to pile up the damage early and then brush off this mobile treasure before other players discover it. Whoever thought of dozing off and delivering pillows? Just a few minutes later, things suddenly turned around. Chapter 9. Full Service Announcement. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This is a cliff near the small waterfall in the magic Snail Valley, not far to the side of the cave discovered in Wang Dao. On the cliff, there are protruding rocks that bend down, forming a small door with the adjacent cliff. When this small door appeared in the eyes of the king, he suddenly had a bold idea. If the speculation is true, then you don't have to wait until the attributes are high enough to kill that rare monster now. You should know that the body size of the demonized snail is not small, and the snail shell on its back is about as wide as the royal body. As a rare monster, the summoning snail has a larger body size, and its blue snail shell is even larger than that of a regular demonized snail. So, in the eyes of the king, this small door that could allow him to pass through, the summoning snail must not be able to pass through. And the solution he came up with was precisely based on this small door, which could just stop the summoning snail. So the summoning snail that cannot be attacked will go around from the side, which can compete for a few seconds of time. In this way, with the infinite flame explosion technique, you can ultimately complete the kill. Run back to the cave and observe carefully. Once Wang Dao confirms the size of this blue baby, he begins to take action. The called seeking wealth insurance means that if you make a calculation error, you may lose 1 level. But if it succeeds, it's a big profit. Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. 367, 4, 372, 9 sees the time, and when the summoning snail turns around, Wang Dao hits it with an Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. When the attack triggers an infinite feature on the summoning snail, he instantly throws another flame explosion spell. Subsequently, Wang Dao did not go to see the damage of the second flame explosion technique, but turned his head and ran away. The summoning snail was attacked and let out a hissing sound before rushing out of the cave. 1 second, 2 seconds. Wang Dao didn't look back. The lock of hatred made him know that the summoning snail was right behind. When he finally ran to the small door, he stopped and looked back. At this point, the summoning snail is already very close to the royal path, estimated to only have enough time for it to swim for about 2 seconds. Sure enough, even the slow-moving snail is much faster than its movement speed of only a few points. Faced with the monster, Wang Dao began to chant the magic missile. The previously triggered infinite feature can only last for a few seconds, but now the icon of infinite flame explosion has dimmed and needs to be triggered again. 113. After a magic missile deals over 100 damage points, its infinite characteristics are instantly triggered. At this point, the summoning snail was already within reach, with its large blue snail shell and soft body clearly visible. Adjust the angle and use an instant inflammatory burst technique to summon the spirit snail's head. 380.5. After throwing the flame explosion technique, Wang Dao turned around and crawled through the small door. He immediately turned around as he appeared on the other side of the small door, with an indescribable expression of joy on his face. I saw the spirit-calling snail rushing to the front and back of the small door, visibly stopping for a moment, and then starting to detour from one side. Success! Wang Daomeng clenched his fist and stood still without moving. 2 seconds later, on the other side of the protruding rock, the summoning snail slowly revealed its body. The already prepared King's Way flew over with a big fireball, and then appeared on the original side through the small door. The summoning snail took time to turn around, but it didn't touch anything except for a big fireball that covered its head and face. Its hateful target has already appeared on the other side, and it can only return to its original path. It goes back and forth in this way, like the king of Qin circling around a pillar. Whenever the summoning snail circles around the protruding side of the rock, thinking it can attack the despicable human on the opposite side. But apart from being burned by a big fireball, it wouldn't even touch a hair. Finally, when the summoning snail's health approached 500 points, it, which had been passively beaten, couldn't bear to go berserk. Wang Dao saw the summoning snail hissing in place, and then 2 summoning arrays appeared next to it. The light of the magic array dissipated, and 2 semi-transparent grey wolves appeared in front of him. Nest. Without time to think about why a snail would summon a grey wolf, the king knows the big picture. Grey Wolf Spirit. Level 4, ordinary monster with 450 out of 450 health. Although compared to the summoning snail, these ordinary grey wolf spirits have an unbearable health of 450 points. Under the sharp teeth of a few grey wolf spirits, the pitiful 90-point health of the King Dao is even more pitiful. Now he knows why this blue baby calls the spirit snail. I can only take a gamble. Thinking of the 2 small bottles of therapeutic potions in his backpack, Wang Dao gritted his teeth fiercely. According to the habit of summoning monsters, as long as the summoning snail is killed, the grey wolf spirit it summons should also disappear. Thinking of this, Wang Dao no longer went through the small door, but stood still in place. Infinite Flame Explosion Technique. 365.22. After completing a flame explosion technique and adding 5 layers of additional burn damage, the summoning snail only has over 100 health points left. Watching the 2 grey wolf spirits about to bite him, Wang Dao used his last flame explosion technique to smash the summoning snail and took out a small bottle of healing potion to bite into his mouth. The fireball exploded on the summoning snail, and the remaining health disappeared instantly. As it lay on the ground with a mournful cry, the spirits of the 2 grey wolves suddenly disappeared. Just before disappearing, the sharp wolf teeth had already bitten onto the king's body. 40 plus 50.40. System. Gain 750 experience points, killing monsters at level 1 increases experience points by 50%. System. Kill rare monsters and gain 10 points of world reputation. Full server announcement. The player Dao San Sheng is the first to kill a rare level monster, with a reward level of 1, 10 coins, and 1 professional skill book. A familiar upgrade golden light lit up under my feet, while a series of system prompts rang one after another. No, that's it. This is the full server announcement. And generally speaking, shouldn't you ask me first if I want to hide my name? Wang Dao didn't have time to feel the thrill of the last scene just now, and was disrupted by the sudden full server announcement. But this reward is really good. Looking at the 10 extra coins in his backpack and the skill book, Wang Dao felt very happy in his heart. Skill. Malicious Metamorphosis Occupation. Mage Description. Sing for 1.5 seconds to turn the target into a small animal, causing it to wander around for 30 seconds. The cooldown time of the skill is 0, and it costs 10 magic points. Small animals are unable to attack and cast spells, and can quickly restore health. They can only be released against beasts, humanoid creatures, and small animals. They are ineffective against monsters at or above the elite level. Demons, dragons, and others are immune to this effect and will recover from damage. This skill does not generate hatred. After learning the skills and techniques, Wang Dao looked at the additional, malicious transformation techniques in the skill bar and knew that he had finally obtained his first control skill. As for 10 gold coins, it goes without saying that during the period when currency exchange had not yet started in this game, it was definitely a huge sum of money. 1 gold coin equals 100 silver coins, and 1 silver coin equals 100 copper coins. If Wang Dao is willing to sell these 10 coins now, he can at least earn a credit point of around 150,000. Don't think it's rare, the purchasing power of credit points is very high. In Wang Dao's memory, his original mother went out early and returned late to sell snacks at a stall, earning only about 5,000 credit points per month. I don't know what the final world reputation is for, so let's not worry about it for now. Turning his gaze to the corpse of the summoning snail, Wang Dao wanted to know what surprise this rare monster would bring him. Chapter 10. Blue Equipment. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.